Morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. What a great, great morning. I'm here today to talk to you about Ewaso Lions, a lion conservation project that I run together with Jeneria and my team up in northern Kenya, the most stunning region in Kenya, the Samburu region. We get our name from this incredible river, the Ewaso River, and we're working all along it to try and protect lions. Why are we doing this? You will hear a little bit more about the threats lions are facing later on. But in Kenya, we have just less than 2,000 lions in the whole country. This is such a concern for the government of Kenya, the tourism industry, and us as conservationists. So I started to try and really understand what are the issues facing lions in northern Kenya. This picture really tells you what northern Kenya looks like right now. A land that's severely degraded, a land that faces droughts frequently. There's not enough habitat for lions. They're running out of space. That bush that they need is disappearing. And there's no grass. That is a big problem we're facing. No grass means no food for lions. And when lions are struggling to find food, they unfortunately will target livestock. Livestock is everything for the local Samburu communities we work with. It's their livelihood, it's their bank. But when a lion is struggling to find food and comes across a cow or a camel, it's much easier for them. And often, it's the only food they have. So they will often kill these cows and camels. And of course, for the people whose lives depend on these livestock, there's so much anger, resentment, and hatred. And they will go out, shoot lions, poison them, or spear them. This is what we face up in northern Kenya, which is a huge problem. So I started the project exactly 10 years ago. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary just this last month. And I was in Samburu, and I had one question. Is it possible for lions to live with people? It's a word that we hear so much, coexistence. And I really wanted to see, is it possible? Can we have coexistence in Samburu? So I moved out of the protected areas, and I started living with the communities. And my one question was really that. I would hear that lions were in these areas. I would go to the elders and say, there used to be lions here, or are there lions? And they would say, yeah, there used to be lions here, but we've killed them off, there's none left. Or they would come out and go back in the park again really quickly because they never felt safe. This is what I wanted to try and change. So I drove around for my first 2 years. I drove around in my little white Suzuki looking for lions. And I didn't find any. I found none. I couldn't even see a track. And for 2 years, I was covering a massive area. And just really trying to see, well, I knew there used to be lions here. And then finally, one day, I saw lots of tracks around a bush. And I got so excited, I thought, wow, there's a whole pride of lions here. Actually, it was one. One lioness who had walked around the bushes, and her tracks were everywhere. And as I saw her, I looked behind her. Where are the rest? I expect to see prides of lions, not just one lion by herself. Only to discover that this is how lions live with people. They live alone. They lead a solitary life. So I got to see this female. It's like she had a watch. Every evening at 6:30, she would stick her head out of the bushes. And this is how I would see her. And she would look at us. She was very nervous, very scared. And that's what it's like for lions in community areas. It is hard for them. They face so many challenges. So of course they're nervous and scared. She'd see us, and then she'd quickly go back in the bushes. But eventually, she got used to us. We got to see her properly. And most importantly, the community got to see her. And they said, we can't believe we have a lion here. And even they were wondering, well, for her to be alone, she's got to be very clever. So we're going to name her Maggie Loni, which means the clever one. So we got to spend quite a bit of time with Maggie Loni in the early days, but then she disappeared. And we got quite worried, because at that point we were working in quite a small area. This was back in 2009. We were working in a small area, and we knew that she was safe when she was in this small area. But as soon as she crossed the river, she could get into trouble. She left for 9 months. And we were so worried. But what she was up to, she was looking for a male, because she found a male somewhere and showed up with these two little guys. And we had such hope. This was the first time that we knew of in a community area that lions were breeding. And I was so excited. I thought, wow, okay, we can do this. This is working. She disappeared again then. And this was for about 3 weeks. The cubs were about 1.5 years old at that time. She disappeared. We got worried again. She had crossed the river, and we knew every time she crossed the river, this was dangerous territory. And sure enough, she came back, but she was injured. She had been shot just behind her right leg. And what did she do? She came straight back to where she felt safe. We were very upset when we saw her like this. We tried to get a vet, but it was too late. Maggie Loni died. This taught us 2 things. We realized that, yes, we've now started to understand what lions need in order to survive with people. And yes, she was here, but she crossed into difficult areas, and she was shot, and she died. But something else we learned. When the community heard that Maggie Loni was injured, 6 elders from all across the region marched into our camp. And I'll never forget this moment. They came to us and they said, "We heard Maggie Loni is injured. She is our lioness and she cannot die. So we have made a decision. We have decided to give her a cow for her to feed on so she can survive." This is a community that suffer from the loss of livestock, 2 lions. But because they had embraced Maggie Loni, she had become their lioness, they were actually willing to give her a cow. Unfortunately, it was too late. But it was then we realized we have got to step up our community efforts. We've got to work with them, expand our area of coverage so we can have more lions like Maggie Loni. And the best thing about this, we knew we had the community support. I never did this work alone. I was very lucky in my early days because I had an incredible small team back in just the first month I started. And I went to our conservancy warden. His name is Stephen, such a great man. And I said to Stephen, I need a young warrior to work with me. I can't look for lions by myself. I mean, I have the worst eyesight ever. How am I going to find lions? And I don't even know this area well. So please find me a warrior to come around with me and look for lions. And Stephen, such a great man, he said, "Sure. On this day at 11 o'clock, go stand under that tree at the base of that hill and someone will show up." And I thought, okay, which hill, which tree, what? And I said, okay. And he said, "Just trust me, Shivani. Go to that tree and this young warrior will come." So I went to the base of the hill and of course found 10 acacia trees, picked one, stood under the tree, and exactly at 11 o'clock, around the bush came a young, smiling warrior. A 19-year-old warrior who had never been involved in conservation, and who for 10 years has been with me from day one. And the most fearless person I have ever met. He is unbeatable. Nothing gets him down. And he faces more challenges than anyone I know in this region. He has the most difficult job. His name is Jeneria, Lekilelei. He is our field manager. And when he started with me 10 years ago, he was very shy, very innocent, which isn't the case anymore for all of you who know him. But there's one thing that hasn't changed, and that's his smile. In spite of all the challenges, this is the first day he came to meet me, and his smile was there. And to this day, 10 years later, he's still smiling. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Jeneria.
Hello, everyone. Wow. What a day today again, to come here to see all these new faces and old faces that really support what I do. I do hate this picture, like really hate. But do you know what? I think how far I've come. It gives me to think how far I've come, how far Ewaso Lions have come. I used to hate lions. I'm a warrior, a Samburu warrior. And a Samburu warrior is a man aged between 15 years of age up to 25 or 30. And by then, his role is to protect the livestock against any attack, to provide security for community, for his community. Then, all of a sudden, I conserve lions now. And when I first joined Ewaso Lions, when I met Shivani this day, I know nothing about lions. All I know, I wanted to get excited to kill lions. To be proof as a manhood in our culture. When she first gave me a radio, I put it on my belt on my knife. And then the radio took off, like the communication. Then I jumped, looking for a ghost. I thought there was a ghost, there was someone like talking under me, because I've never used to it. So, leave about the GPS. I know nothing. There's no even a mobile phones by then. If you see someone like talking on a phone, you think, this guy is mad. He's talking by himself. So it was really good. But how did I change? She took me very close to the lions to build that trust. All we knew as a Samburu people is how many lions have we killed. You get excited because you had a warrior killing a lion somewhere else, and you wanted to. But we'll never know how many we have killed. And how many do we left with for our generations, for our culture? It means a lot to our Samburu lions. Like, lions mean a lot. We can't do many things without lions in our culture. But we don't know how many we have lost. Because one lion can go around the bush and a community member will stop you saying, I've seen like 100 lions there. That's one lion. But she took me very close to the lions, took me around, really building that trust. Because what we have is a negative side about the lions. A lion coming through the bush, killing my cow. So I get upset. Because I know when I go back home, people will scream at me. I let the lion kill. So all I have is a negative things. But taking me very close to the lions. And I'm very proud today, very happy to have my friend Chip Owen, that the first person took me to a place where in Kenya that we believe there is so many lions. And that's when I counted over 30 lions, a pride of lion. And I said, wow, we are joking. We only have Naramat. That's when I went back. And of course, she was really supporting me. And by then, I was a scout taking, like recording all the sightings and all that. She asked me, who should I take to Shaba, to one of the very hard place, very hot place in Samburu, hotter than where we live? I said, I want to go. But she discovered what I want to do. But by then, that's when I discovered that what am I missing myself? What are we missing? Then I said, anytime I go and respond for conflict, a lion killing a cow, camel, who am I coming across? It is our warriors, sorry. It is the warriors. I said, my age group are very neglected within decision making within our society. They know negative sides of all the conservation. They know lions coming through the bush. And that is what I was missing. And I need to involve them into that decision making, so that when they are out looking after their livestock, going to give them water, moving with them, when they see a lion tracks, they are not going to track and kill. They are going to tell the community, to spread that message back to the community. So one of their responsibilities, our responsibilities now, is actually to track the lions and really see where the lions are. Then that message we communicate back to the community. I found you looking after your livestock, and I said, okay, don't take your livestock down by that bush, because the lions are there. But then you have saved a lion by being killed, and you have saved their livestock by a lion killing. So by then you have built that coexistence between that person and that lion. There's no need of him like going to kill again. We also call a tracking, like we call one of our community lions to mitigate the conflict, so that we can go there when they travel really far places. we can able to reach there early and knowing exactly the place they are so that we can communicate that message back to the community. This Moran here called Letoye, he has made me so proud. He's a very well Moran that known within the society looking after their livestock. He have never even come back home. He took his cows, that's it, until the rainy season. But when I first bring him to the Board of Conservation, I took him around, and he said, we found one lion, and then we went almost another 200 meters, we found another lion. So I said, Letoye, oh, there's another lion. He said, don't joke. That's the same lion. He just came around. How can you tell? They look all the same. I said, no, let's go back. I'll show you the same lion, the other one. There is another lion, there is another lion. So what? If they go like this, how can I know that's lion or not? But now, Letoye, if he found any lion in Samburu and you call him and describe it properly, he will tell you who that lion is and how it looks like. Very proud. He knows just like he knows his cows now. And when I first involved the warriors into conservation decision making, they have never been to school. And they said, we need to be taught how to read and write. So I started the Sunday school, of which they go. Very proud to say, out of 20 warriors, only 2 that I've just recruited in a new area now that doesn't know how to read and write. Everyone have his own pen in his knife and a book now. My favorite lion called Nanai. She means mine in Samburu. She's my favorite lion. She means a lot to myself. She has taught me so much. I've knew this lion since she was almost 2 days old. And why I said Nanai? Because when they were even too small, want to suck their mother, she's always the last. Walking, she's always the last. And anytime I get a call at night saying, oh, there's a lion, kill a cow somewhere, I always think about this lion because I think she will be the first to be killed. And I do what I do because of her today. It doesn't mean what time of the night, the day, I get a call that the lions are in troubles, that I said I will do it tomorrow. I have to do it just immediately, just because of her. She means a lot to me, and she has taught me so much about how that lions are clever, how lions are just like humans. People are complaining, getting all these minds saying lions are dangerous, but they don't know what. They don't know it's lack of habitat, lack of space. Someone gets you and say, get your lion out of here, or get the lion out of here. Where? There's no place. So thank you so much. And this have just made me so proud to really build from 11 lions to 50 lions now that we have in Samburu. And this female here, she made me to tell my brothers to own all the cows and I will own the lions. If they kill your cows, don't complain to me. Too bad. So thank you so much.
We'd been working with the warriors for a number of years, the elders and the children. There was one group that was feeling quite left out, and that was the Samburu women. And they would march into our camp pretty much once a week and say, where are we in lion conservation? Shivani, Jeneria, why are you leaving us out of this? Because we can do just as much as the warriors can do. So please involve us. We want to come up with our own program. We will design what it's going to look like. We will do all the activities. Can we go ahead? And I absolutely loved this. This was the women's initiative. It wasn't me going to the women, assuming I knew what was best for them. They know exactly what they needed and what they wanted, and they did it. So this was the birth of our incredible program called Mama Simba, which means Mother of Lions. And we started with 10 women, now we have 19. One of the first things they wanted was education. Just like the warriors were going to school every Sunday, learning how to read and write, the women wanted that as well. So they set up their own bush school, which is this. It's just a bunch of bushes, and they have a little whiteboard, and they're in there 4 times a week learning how to read and write. Jeneria can close his ears now, but they picked up reading and writing far quicker than the warriors. The program is run by 2 amazing ladies. Parasora here on the right, she's a real spokeslady. She goes to every single meeting now. She stands up. She talks about conservation issues. She talks about what's going on in her village. She talks about education, livestock, children, and people listen. This never used to happen before. At every community meeting, the women weren't really given a chance to speak, but now, every meeting, they always say, Parasori, where are you? Have your say. What do you want to say? And they hear. She stands up and she talks and people listen. This amazing lady on the left, 25-year-old Menteli, who runs the program. And exactly a year ago, just when I left WCN to go home, she came to see me in camp. And she told me off. She said to me, Shivani, she said it in half Samburu, half Swahili, so I'm translating this. She said, you're limiting me. I want to do so much, but I can't get anywhere. I want to work with more women. I want to teach women about conservation, teach them how to read and write. Everything I've learned, I need to spread to all the other women. But I can't go anywhere, because if I ask Jeneria to take me somewhere, he's so busy racing to try and save a lion from being killed. Latoya is so busy going to try and find the lions in the park. You're so busy on your computer. And so she said, you've taught me how to read. You've taught me how to write. Now you have to teach me how to drive. Some of you might have been driven with me before, and you might be quite shocked to hear that someone actually asked me to teach them how to drive. But clearly Menteli didn't know. I spent early this year a couple of months and had the best time teaching Menteli how to drive on the airstrip not far away from her village. So I'm going to show you a little clip of her driving.
I'm driving.
She decided to herd donkeys at the same time.
I passed my driving tests.
And then we surprised her with a... We surprised her with a new car, and she was welcomed back in the village. This was amazing. She had no idea we were getting her this little brown Suzuki with a big peach bow on it. And she took it back to Samburu, and every single woman from the village came out to greet her, to welcome her. And all the elders blessed the vehicle and Menteli. She is now known across Samburu. She is the first lady in this region from a village to drive. Her efforts have been recognized by even the leadership level in Samburu. The top leader of Samburu heard that there's this Samburu lady who's driving. He didn't believe it. So he arrived in the village and said, Menteli, drive me around. And she did, except it was an automatic car, so she was looking for the clutch the whole time. But that did not stop her. She did it. Menteli, the highlights of Menteli and the successes has definitely been something that we really cherish this year, because this year has been exceptionally difficult for us. This has been the hardest year in 10 years for me and my team. The droughts are getting more severe. Livestock are coming into areas looking for grazing, competing with herbivores. Lots of people from far away are coming in because of the droughts. The situation is so serious. Animals are dying every day. Just in the last couple of days, more Grevy's zebras have died. our amazing partners, the Grevi Zebra Trust, are out there every day feeding wildlife to keep them alive. It is such a hard time. And between May and July, we lost more lions than we have in 5 years. And this is because people from far away have come in and are not exposed to conservation. They came in, they saw lions, they saw other wildlife, and they were shot. Labasha and Lentio came across a lion in May, shot and burned. This was the first one. Nashipai, the first lioness I ever knew. I got to know her in 2002 when I moved up to Samburu to go work with Oria. And I loved this lioness. She is beautiful. Her name means the beautiful, joyful one. I got to spend years with her. She taught me everything I knew about lions. I call her the matriarch of Samburu because all the lions are there because of her. What an amazing hunter. She raised her cubs in difficult situations. And it was incredible just to watch this lioness grow up and age gracefully in Samburu. But in May this year, Nashipai, my favorite lion, was shot dead. This was an extremely tragic incident. And yes, despite all the losses we faced this year, it has been extraordinarily hard for us and my team. There's not one moment that we felt like giving up. And my sister, who I'm very close to, asked me, how do you keep going with everything going on? And I said, you know what? I have an amazing team. If anything, the last 3 months have united us, made us stronger, and we know things are working. Yes, we've suffered a setback, but there's a lot more that's working in Samburu. We have lions like this one, this beautiful lioness called Naramat, who 6 years ago moved out of the parks into a challenging area where there was lots of people, and she survived. She's still alive. She's there. She's been there for 5 years, and she's bred successfully 3 times in a community area. This is not a park. This is an area where there's a lot of livestock, a lot of people, yet she's there. All her cubs have survived till adulthood. They've all dispersed. And more recently, she surprised us with these big-eared bundles of joy. And when I first saw them, I looked at these cubs, and I had 2 completely different feelings. The first feeling I had was, this is so amazing. She's done it again. This female is such a survivor. But the second feeling I had was fear. I thought, this is such a hard time for lions. How is she going to raise these cubs? But I should never have doubted this female. 6 months later, the cubs are doing great, and our warriors are out there every day keeping an eye on them, and they're still alive. We've also had new males come to our area for the first time in 8 years. We've had such a problem with lions not being able to safely disperse from one area to another. But because of the efforts of the community, safe passages opened up for lions, and 4 glorious Maine lions arrived in Samburu. They completely shook up the entire lion population, but we needed that. So it's amazing to see this, and it shows that if the communities want lions to move from place to place, it actually does happen. My amazing team, Jeneria and I are here, but we have a huge, great team back at home, warriors and scouts who are risking their lives every day to save lions. And our amazing Mama Simba ladies, so much hope and inspiration I get from these ladies every day. Our team is not complete without my dog, Kura, my best companion. I absolutely love this dog. And a new addition in our camp, the goofiest creature on the planet, I can guarantee that. Her name is Nanyuri. It means green because of her amazing green eyes. Our team really is what keeps us going. Yesalai, this young warrior who's Jeneria's assistant, he only has 25 goats. About late last year, he lost half of those to a pack of wild dogs in 10 minutes. Did that stop him from going out the next day to monitor those dogs? It didn't. He woke up, got in the car, and went to find them to ensure they were safe. Manteli, who's inspired everyone. She runs the show now. She's moved to our camp and tells us what to do every day. And she drives around in her little Suzuki, and other women have looked at her and said, Manteli, you've shown us that the impossible is now possible, and we can do anything. And that's what the team is all about. I want to end by really talking about, Jane Goodall yesterday spoke about hope and the youth. We strongly believe in that, and there's no one that shows this more than this incredible young 13-year-old boy called Junior. And Junior was exposed to conservation about 5 years ago, and he said, I want to be just like Jeneria. I want to be a lion conservationist. And he said, I'm going to spend every weekend with you, every holiday with you. And he's really stuck to his word. Jeneria calls him traffic because he doesn't let Jeneria drive without jumping into the car. He's like standing in the middle of the road saying, let me in. Such a great kid. And a lot of people say, kids are the next generation of conservationists. They're a new generation of conservationists. They can be conservationists now. And Junior's such a great example of that. He goes out tracking the lions with the warriors. He's got his favorite lions. He's on foot patrolling with them, and he's in the car just happily taking photos of the lions. That gives me hope. We've now completed 10 years, and we've really got to this stage thanks to you. We have so many supporters in this audience who have backed us from day one, and I can't thank you enough from me, my team, and all the Lions. Yes, the challenges are there, but we're united, we're strong, we're focused, and we're vigilant. We are ready for the next 10 years. But we cannot do this without your support. So please continue supporting us so we can grow our number of warriors, grow our Mama Simba ladies, and grow our lion population so they can remain for the future in Samburu in northern Kenya. Thank you so much.